What if I told you there's a mute button for the noise of the world and it's already inside your mind? Picture yourself in the middle of the most intense confrontation of your life. Accusations are flying, voices are raised. The pressure is designed to pull you into reaction. Normally, your pulse would spike, your thoughts would scatter, and you'd answer force with force. But this time, you don't. You remain still, not frozen, not afraid, silent with intention. You watch the other person's anger break against your calm, like a wave collapsing against stone. They lose control, you don't, and in that moment, the balance of power quietly shifts. This isn't a superpower. It's a forgotten skill preserved for centuries by those who studied the mechanics of the mind. Ancient teachings associated with Thoth, the Egyptian guardian of wisdom, spoke of this silence as mastery. The ability to remain centered in conflict, and through that calm, shape the outcome without force. If something in this resonates, it isn't by accident. It means you're ready to stop being driven by impulse and start acting with clarity. Stay with me until the end, because what comes next will change how you meet every challenge from this moment forward. If you've ever felt you lost control during an argument and regretted it later, comment below. I choose calm. He who conquers himself is the most powerful warrior. Faced with an attack, the immediate reaction is to retaliate with even greater force. We've been taught that the winner is the one who shouts the loudest, but that's the biggest lie. True power makes no noise. It is born in the silence between provocation and response. It's a force that doesn't need to intimidate to disarm any opponent because its weapon is absolute stillness, a control that the other cannot even comprehend. Consider Miyamoto Musashi, the undefeated samurai. His enemies were not defeated merely by the sword, but by their own uncontrolled fury. Musashi remained the eye of the storm, using his opponent's mental turmoil as his main advantage. He knew that a mind in chaos is a mind already defeated. This lethal calmness was not a gift, but a strategy, a power that made him untouchable. This same strategy is the secret of Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom. He taught that to control the outer world, one must first master the inner universe. The undisciplined mind is the origin of all conflict. The same principle that guaranteed Musashi's victory in mortal duels is the key that Thoth left us to master modern conflicts, whatever they may be. The problem is that we were programmed to react, not to control. Our survival instinct, which once protected us, now imprisons us. It transforms us into puppets of our own emotions, reacting to each provocation exactly as expected. With each automatic reaction, we surrender our power, becoming predictable and easy to manipulate. Imagine breaking that cycle. Imagine having the power to remain centered while the other person's anger dissipates, unable to find a target. That's mental sovereignty. It's not about being passive, but about choosing your response instead of being a victim of an impulse. To get there, you first need to understand the biological trap that holds you captive, a chemical prison that forces you to lose control. This invisible trap has a name: amygdala hijacking. It's a neuroscience term, but its experience is universal. The instant you perceive a threat, whether it's a car coming towards you or harsh criticism from your boss, a small part of your brain, the amygdala triggers a general alarm. It doesn't think, it doesn't analyze, it just reacts. In a fraction of a second, your body is flooded with cortisol and adrenaline, the stress hormones. Your heart races, your breathing becomes short, your muscles tense. You are ready to fight or flee. This system was perfect for surviving a predator on the savannah, but it's a disaster in today's complex social interactions. The brain doesn't distinguish the threat of a tiger from the threat of public humiliation. The chemical response is the same, and when that chemistry takes over, the rational part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, is practically switched off. You lose the ability to think clearly, to ponder, to find creative solutions. You become a primitive version of yourself, operating purely on instinct. It is in this state that the worst decisions are made. Words that cause deep wounds are spoken, angry emails are sent, relationships are destroyed. After the chemical storm passes, regret arrives. You look back and don't recognize yourself, asking, "Why did I do that?" The answer is simple. You weren't in control. It was your biology, a survival program millions of years old, that took over. Musashi knew that allowing this hijacking was the equivalent of handing the sword to the enemy before the fight. The real conflict, therefore, is never with the other person. It's an internal battle against that chemical surge. The person who provoked you was merely the trigger, the finger that pressed the button. The explosion happened inside you. That's why most people become the emotion itself. They don't say, "I feel anger." They merge with the feeling and declare, "I am anger." At that moment, identity is lost, and the person becomes a puppet of their own fury, unable to see anything beyond the red fog of emotion. The great revelation from the wise is that you don't have to be a victim of this process. You can learn to create a space between stimulus and response. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived concentration camps, said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." This is the key to escaping the trap. It is the ability to perceive the chemical wave rising, but to choose not to ride it. But how do you create that space? How, in the heat of the moment when your blood is boiling, can you take a step back? It's not with willpower, because the chemistry is stronger. It's with a technique, a shift in perspective as subtle as it is powerful. It's about activating a part of you that is never touched by the storm, a silent awareness that can observe all the drama without getting involved. It's time to meet the secret observer that lives within your mind. Imagine your mind is an infinite blue sky. Emotions like anger, fear, or sadness are like dark storm clouds passing through that sky. They can be frightening, noisy, and may temporarily obscure the blue, but they are never the sky. They are merely passing phenomena. The problem is that we forget that we are the sky and come to believe that we are the cloud. The first key to freedom is remembering your true nature. You are the conscious space where emotions occur, not the emotions themselves. This practice is what we call emotional distance. It's the ability to step back and observe your own feelings as if you were watching a movie. You don't deny the emotion. You don't repress it. You fully acknowledge it, but without identifying with it. In Eastern philosophy, this perspective is that of Atman, the higher self, the silent witness that remains untouched by the turbulence of the ego. It's the part of you that is always at peace, always calm, no matter how chaotic the external or internal world becomes. The practical application of this is surprisingly simple and begins with the language you use with yourself. Instead of thinking, "I am angry," change it to, "I notice a feeling of anger arising within me." This small linguistic shift creates an immediate separation. The I that notices is not the same as the anger that is noticed. You move your identity from the feeling to the awareness that perceives the feeling. In this small space that opens up, automatic reactivity loses its power. The power of choice returns to you. By practicing this, you begin to disarm the ego's mechanism. The ego loves to identify with emotions, especially dramatic ones. It feeds on the narrative of, "I was wronged, I am right, and they are wrong." By disidentifying with the emotion, you deprive the ego of its sustenance. Anger, without its identification to sustain it, begins to lose energy, like a fire without fuel. It may still be there for a while, but it no longer has the power to control you. You watch the storm cloud pass, knowing that the blue sky is always present. This act of observing without judgment is one of the deepest secrets of meditation and self-awareness. It's a training for your attention. Instead of letting your attention be hijacked by emotion, you anchor it in the observer's position. At first, it may be difficult. The force of habit will pull you back into the storm. But each time you manage to remember to observe, even for a second, you strengthen the muscle of awareness. Over time, it becomes your new default response. However, simply watching the internal storm subside is a defensive strategy. True mastery lies not only in maintaining calm, but in using that calm to navigate the situation wisely. Calmness alone is only the first step. To win the war, and not just survive the battle, you need a secret weapon, a skill that allows you not only to react to the present, but to anticipate the future. You need to learn to read the hidden map of human behavior. Once you achieve inner calm, your perception expands. You stop looking only at your own emotional navel and begin to see the entire battlefield clearly. This is where the second secret comes in: anticipatory awareness. Musashi didn't win his duel simply because he was fast, but because he knew what his opponent would do before he even did it. He wasn't a fortune teller, he was a master at reading patterns. He understood that under pressure, human beings become predictable. Thoth taught that the universe operates in cycles and rhythms, the seasons, the phases of the moon, the movement of the stars. Everything follows a pattern. Human behavior is no different. Although each person is unique, the basic emotions that drive us follow a universal script. Anger seeks a target to blame. Fear seeks security and avoids risk. Arrogance seeks validation and hides insecurity. Impatience reveals a lack of control and a need for immediate gratification. The master of calm uses his tranquility to become a detective of others' emotions. Before entering a potentially conflictual interaction, such as a salary negotiation or a difficult conversation with a partner, he pauses to map the terrain. He doesn't think about what he's going to say, but about who he's going to meet. He asks himself three fundamental questions. What is this person's most likely emotional state at this moment? What are they really seeking behind their words and actions? And what are the three most likely reactions they will have to my arguments? Answering these questions is like having a map of the maze before entering it. You stop being a reactive participant and become a strategist. By anticipating that your boss might react defensively to your request for a raise, you prepare an approach that calms that defensiveness instead of fighting it. By understanding that your partner seeks validation and not a fight, you change your tone to offer reassurance instead of accusation. The surprise, which is the main trigger for panic and instinctive reaction, is neutralized. This mental mapping practice takes the power out of the unexpected. Your brain, already prepared for the most likely scenarios, doesn't go into alarm mode. It remains in problem-solving mode, keeping the prefrontal cortex online and functioning. FBI crisis negotiators use this technique constantly. They spend most of their time understanding the kidnapper's emotional state and motivations, because they know that controlling the situation doesn't come from force, but from a deep understanding of the other person's psychological terrain. This mental clarity, this ability to observe oneself and anticipate others, is the foundation of power. However, it cannot be sustained solely by the power of thought. The mind and body are intrinsically linked. A panic thought can trigger a physical reaction, and a physical reaction can generate panic thoughts. To ensure your mental clarity remains unwavering, you need to master the invisible bridge that connects these two worlds, a tool you use every second, but rarely consciously. This invisible bridge, the direct link between your mind and your body, is your breath. It's something so automatic that we rarely pay attention to it, but within it lies one of the most powerful secrets to emotional control. Musashi, in his duels, observed not only his opponent's posture but also the rhythm of his breathing. He knew that short, panting, and irregular breaths coming from the upper chest were an unmistakable sign of fear and imbalance. It was the harbinger of a mistake, proof that the opponent's mind was already defeated. Ancient wisdom traditions, such as pranayama in India, have known this for millennia. Prana means life force, and ayama means control. Pranayama is the science of controlling life force through breath. They understood that by changing your breathing pattern, you can directly change your state of consciousness. Today, modern science is only beginning to prove what yogis have always known. Slow, deep breathing is the quickest and most effective way to hack your own nervous system. When you're stressed or scared, your sympathetic nervous system is active, the famous fight or flight response. Your body is primed for action. On the other hand, slow, deep, diaphragmatic breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, known as the rest and digest mode. It sends a powerful signal to your brain that everything is okay, that the threat has passed, and that it's safe to relax. It's like having a biological switch that turns off your body's emergency alarm. The third key, therefore, is strategic breathing. This isn't just any breathing, but a conscious and deliberate control of your breathing rhythm, especially under pressure. While the person in front of you is losing control, with their voice shuddering and breathing labored, you secretly use your breath as an anchor. You breathe slowly, calmly, and deeply, feeling the air fill the base of your lungs. Each long exhalation is a signal for your body to release tension. This practice has a dual effect. Internally, it keeps your mind clear and your body relaxed, preventing amygdala hijacking. Externally, Your calmness has a contagious effect. People are unconsciously influenced by the state of others around them through something called mirror neurons. Your serenity, anchored in your breath, can literally calm the environment and even the person you are in conflict with, without them realizing why. You become the center of gravity of calm in the room. But how do you apply this practically and immediately amidst the chaos, without anyone realizing you're using a technique? You don't need to sit in the lotus position or make strange noises. There's a specific breathing cycle, a simple and discreet method that Musashi perfected, a true internal reset that can be performed in less than 10 seconds to bring instant clarity to the decisive moment. It's such a powerful tool that it can change the course of an entire discussion. The technique is a form of internal alchemy, transforming the chemistry of stress into the chemistry of calm in real time. It's such a discreet process that you can do it during a tense meeting, while listening to criticism, or even mid-sentence, and no one will ever know. Musashi developed this cycle to recenter himself between blows, a moment of pause that gave him clarity for the next move. It's the 4 to 6 cycle, a simple code for a powerful reset of your nervous system. Here's how it works. Discreetly inhale through your nose while mentally counting to 4. Feel the air fill not only your chest but also expand your belly. This is diaphragmatic breathing, which signals safety to the brain. After this inhalation, don't hold your breath forcefully. Just pause naturally, a brief moment of stillness. Then, exhale slowly through your mouth as if gently blowing out a candle, while mentally counting to 6. The exhalation being longer than the inhalation is key to activating the parasympathetic nervous system. A single cycle already begins to take effect. The mental count occupies the mind, preventing it from spinning with panic thoughts. The deep inhalation oxygenates the brain, and the prolonged exhalation sends a message of calm to every cell in your body. Repeat this 3 or 4 times. In less than 30 seconds, you will have changed your physiology. Your heart rate decreases, your blood pressure drops, and the prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of the brain, comes back online. You have effectively pressed a reset button. This is not a mental trick, it's a physiological intervention. You are using your body's most fundamental tool to take control of your own internal chemistry. It's a powerful physical reminder that no matter how chaotic the outside world becomes, the power to create peace resides within you, just a breath away. This calmness that you cultivate becomes the solid foundation upon which you can build your strategy. It's the basis of victory. But calmness by itself is like a powerful car with the engine running but without a driver and without a destination. It's pure potential energy, but without direction, it leads nowhere. Calmness without a purpose is just inertia. For this serenity to transform into effective control, it needs to be channeled, focused, and directed like a laser beam. Most people enter into conflicts without the slightest idea of where they are going, and that's exactly why they always end up lost along the way. Calmness gives you the clarity to see the target, but to hit it, you need an arrow. And that arrow is forged from a clear and unwavering intention. Without it, all your calmness will be wasted, and you will only be a passive observer of your own defeat. It's time to understand what it truly means to engage in an interaction with purpose. This is the point where everything connects. Emotional distance, anticipatory awareness, and strategic breathing create the ideal state, the fertile ground. But it is purposeful action that plants the seed and reaps the result. Think about most of the discussions you've ever been in. They usually start with a specific problem, but within minutes they turn into a battle of egos, a list of past grievances, and personal accusations. Why does this happen? Because the initial purpose was lost. Most people enter into conflict with a vague and reactive goal, to win. But what does winning really mean? Does it mean proving the other person wrong? Does it mean humiliating them, forcing them to agree? These ego-based goals are like quicksand. The more you fight, the deeper you sink into emotional chaos. Musashi didn't fight to win. He fought to execute his strategy perfectly, to survive, to honor his path. His purpose was clear, internal, and unwavering. The fourth and most important key is to define your true intention before any significant interaction. And this intention should be condensed into a single, clear, and constructive sentence. This sentence becomes your North Star, your anchor in the midst of the storm. It can't be something like, "I want him to stop being an idiot." It needs to be something that is under your control. For example, my goal is to express my need clearly and respectfully. Or, my purpose is to understand his point of view before presenting mine. Or, my intention is to find a solution that works for both of us. This phrase of purpose acts as a filter for your mind. When the other person provokes you or tries to divert you from the subject, you mentally return to your anchor. Does this help me achieve my purpose of finding a mutual solution? If the answer is no, you simply don't engage. You don't take the bait. You gently redirect the conversation back to your goal. You stop being a leaf in the wind, reacting to every breath of provocation, and become the captain of the ship, keeping the rudder firmly on course towards your destination. This is the true secret of Thoth, the divine scribe. Control does not come from dominating the will of another, but from being absolutely faithful to your own intention. When you refuse to be led astray, when your calm and focus are unwavering, something extraordinary happens. You begin to lead the interaction, even in silence. Your focused presence sets the tone. The other person, operating in reactive chaos, unconsciously senses your coherence and stability. You control the course because you are the only one in the room who knows where you are going. By practicing this, you transform every conflict, every battle of egos, into an exercise in conscious direction. You stop being a player in someone else's game and become the designer of your own. You are no longer trying to control what others do, say, or think. You are exercising the only control that truly matters, control over yourself. And by mastering your inner world, you begin to realize that you have a far greater influence on the outer world than you ever imagined. The 4 pillars we explored: demotional distance, anticipatory awareness, strategic breathing, and purposeful action are not merely conflict management techniques. They are the pillars that support a temple, the temple of your sovereign mind. This is the esoteric legacy of Thoth. He taught not only the writing and measurement of the physical world, he taught that the universe itself is a mental projection. All is mind. The universe is mental, says the first principle of the Kybalion, a text attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, the Greek version of Thoth. What does this really mean? It means that the reality you experience is not an objective external event. It is an interpretation, a creation that takes place within your own consciousness. The control that Miyamoto Musashi wielded over the battlefield was not power over his opponents, but absolute mastery over his own inner universe. Because he had silenced the chaos in his mind, he could perceive the reality of combat with a clarity that his enemies, drowning in their own fury and fear, could not achieve. By applying these 4 pillars, you begin to rewrite the laws of cause and effect in your life. Before, the cause was an external event. Someone criticized you, and the effect was your internal reaction. You felt anger and retaliated. Now you reverse this equation. The cause becomes your conscious intention, your state of deliberate calm, and the effect is how the external world shapes itself and responds to this new cause. You cease to be an effect and become the primary cause in your own life. You become the architect of your experience. Instead of being a victim of circumstances, you begin to use circumstances as raw material to build the reality you desire. Calm ceases to be a passive state, the mere absence of problems, and transforms into an active and creative force. It is the presence of a silent and unwavering power that has the capacity to bring order to disorder, clarity to confusion, and peace to conflict. You begin to realize that the world doesn't happen to you, it happens through you. This understanding is the beginning of true magic, the mental alchemy of transforming the lead of your instinctive reactions into the gold of your conscious response. You no longer need to fight against the world. You simply adjust your inner state, and the reflection in the mirror of reality changes accordingly. The power to remain calm amidst conflict is, in its essence, the power to manifest order from chaos, to be the organizing center of your own existence. But there is one last step in this journey, a final understanding that elevates this practice from a technique to a state of being. It is an apparent contradiction, a surrender that paradoxically unlocks the deepest level of control and mastery. It is the moment when you stop fighting completely, not only against others, but against the very nature of reality. It is the step that takes you from stillness to flow. The supreme mastery of the mind does not culminate in a rigidity of control, but in a graceful fluidity. It is the understanding that the ultimate goal is not to fight against reality, but to dance with it. The wise one, like Thoth, understands that change, uncertainty, and conflict are not errors in the system. They are the system itself. They are part of the cosmic flow of life. Trying to resist this flow, trying to build a dam against the river of existence, is the source of all suffering. True strength lies not in resistance, but in adaptability. True calmness is not static like a rock, but dynamic like water. Water doesn't fight against obstacles. It flows around them. It adapts to any shape, but maintains its essence. Similarly, the awakened mind doesn't try to eliminate chaos, but learns to navigate it with precision and grace. By applying the 4 pillars, you don't become someone who never faces problems. You become someone who can no longer be poisoned by them. Challenges still come, but they can no longer penetrate your inner peace. You begin to move with the precision of Musashi, seeing openings where others see only threats. You breathe with the depth of a yogi master, maintaining your center even when the world spins. And you act with the clarity of a divine purpose, transforming each interaction into an opportunity to express your intention. What was once an obstacle now becomes an opportunity to dance. You learn to use your opponent's energy, the force of conflict, not to bring you down, but to propel you in the direction you have chosen. This is the essence of Aikido, the Japanese martial art, where the practitioner harmonizes with the attacker's movement to redirect their force. You don't oppose the energy of the conflict. You welcome it, merge with it, and guide it towards a constructive outcome. What once drained you now nourishes you. The person yelling at you is no longer attacking you. They are offering you a great deal of energy that, if you are skillful, you can channel towards resolving the problem instead of letting it destroy you. This is the conscious dance with chaos. It's the radical acceptance that you can't control the world, but you can control your response to it so masterfully that it feels like you are controlling the world. It's a state of flow where action happens effortlessly. You're no longer trying to stay calm or trying to have a purpose. You simply are calm, and your purpose flows through you naturally. You become immune to the world's toxicity because you realize that nothing external can touch the essence of who you are. You stop fighting against life and begin to collaborate with it. Conflict becomes a conversation. The problem becomes a puzzle. The enemy becomes a teacher. This shift in perspective is ultimate freedom. You no longer need the world to change to find peace. Peace is already within you, and you carry it into the world, transforming it from within. The secret has been revealed. The tools have been given. Now, the journey moves from theory to practice. The secret of Thoth, hidden in plain sight for millennia, is now in your hands. The mind that masters itself masters the universe it perceives. This is not an abstract concept, but an operational truth. The power to remain calm is not a weakness. It is the ultimate weapon. It is the power to manifest your will, to bring order to chaos, to be the cause, and not just the effect. You now possess the tools, the 4 pillars of mental sovereignty that can rebuild your reality from the inside out. Every moment of stress, every argument, every challenge that arises from today onward is no longer a threat. It's a training ground. It's your personal gym to strengthen the muscle of awareness. Every time you feel the wave of reaction rising and choose to breathe, observe, and act with purpose, you will be forging your crown. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to prove to yourself, not to others, that you are in command of your inner universe. Don't expect perfection. In the beginning, you will fail. The force of habit from millions of years of evolution and decades of conditioning is immense. You will be swept away by the storm again and again, but the difference is that now you know you are being swept away. You have the map back to shore. And each time you return, even if you've stayed just 1 second longer as an observer, you have won. The process is not about never feeling anger again, but about no longer becoming anger. The journey to sovereignty is not a destination. It's a daily practice. It begins with the next difficult conversation you have. It begins the next time someone cuts you off in traffic. It begins with the next criticism you receive. In each of these moments, you will have a choice. The choice between the old program of automatic reaction and the new path of conscious response. The choice between being a slave to your chemistry or the master of your mind. Don't underestimate the power of small, consistent victories. Every time you choose calm, you send out a ripple that transforms not only your present moment, but your future. You are literally rewiring your brain, creating new neural pathways of peace and control. What was once difficult and required effort will, over time, become your new nature, your new default state of being. Sovereignty will become who you are. The only thing left to do is begin. Knowledge without application is merely an illusion of progress. True transformation happens in the arena of life, not on the pages of a book or the screen of a video. You have the keys, you have the map. The door to your own prison has always been open. The choice to walk through it is yours. And the time to take the first step is now. If you've made it this far, you're not the same person who began this video. A seed of mental sovereignty has been planted. To quietly acknowledge that you've received it and are ready to step into control, leave the words, "My mind is my empire," in the comments. If this message resonated and you feel moved to support the channel more directly, there's an option to contribute in the first pinned comment. Any support truly matters to me and helps this work continue reaching those who need it. That said, simply staying until the end already makes a meaningful difference. And if you can, consider sharing this video with someone who might need to hear it right now. Before you go, remember, this path doesn't end here. I've prepared a follow-up video that takes these ideas further and deepens what we've begun today. Don't leave yet. Click the video now appearing on your screen, and let's continue there.